Hello everybody and welcome to episode 35 of Competitive Magic with the Carnies. I'm your host from Italy, Andrea Mengucci, and joining me we have the Pro Tour Minneapolis competitor from Spain, Javier Dominguez.
Hello everyone, how's it going?
Hola Javier, welcome. We are both back from Minneapolis. You returned with another great finish as you achieved your 8th top finish, your 3rd paper Pro Tour top 8. Very, very glad for you. How has it been?
Honestly, I mean, we'll talk about this way more, but it's just was just great. In better words for it. It was very the old times. And also, this was just simply a very special weekend for me. By the way, Anthony's not here today. You could think it's maybe because he had 200 hours going back Australia, but I don't know if Mengo has a better reason. Do you know why Anthony was not here?
Anthony hasn't been on the cast for a while. Maybe he's just making his own new podcast. What do you think?
Well, yeah, maybe that's imagine, Anthony shows up to a new podcast where, they just talk about Magic competitive. But they don't talk about pop or modern. That's maybe the
they only talk about arena formats the whole time.
Yeah, maybe Pioneer also.
The true competitive formats. By the way, did you know that I played my first arena open in 1 year?
How did it go?
Before the PT. I mean, not well. I had 2 tries and didn't go well, but I did the thing. I played on Magic Arena.
Did you like them? Did you like the open? I think it's good actually.
Yeah. Also, I found out that I have a lot of jams. Not here to brag or anything, but I have a lot of jams, so probably I should play them more often.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play them a lot when they were constructed and then stopped. But I actually think the sealed ones are good. They also seem to be very popular. And yeah, I mean, I think they are a good idea. And I also think how the tournaments in Arena are handled, I think they are very convenient for, especially with people that has time limitations, or they have kids or, they have more stuff to do and they cannot play a tournament with 8 hours straight, but they can have 1 hour here, 1 hour there, and they can just feed the rounds, because you can take your breaks. And I think that's very, very convenient for a lot of people. So I think it's a good structure. I don't know if you agree there.
Well, let's not talk about Arena. Let's talk about Paper Magic, because Paper Magic returned with the MagicCon in Minneapolis. How many people were there? Did you see?
I honestly didn't see that many people because I was most of the time on the PT area. But once I was out, I spent a good part of the Sunday just in the other area with Anthony, and I felt that's huge. These cons. I don't know how. I mean, I want you to tell people how you felt about the cons because I think you have been to more events like this than me. But those cons are impressive. They're just so large and there's so many people. And honestly, they just look like a very cool space to have fun. I remember walking and they had this tavern. I don't know if you saw that place at Mengo in the other the big room next to the shops. There were this tavern where they had a big dragon statue and they had this tavern door. So there were commander tables there. But it really felt very well, the ambient of the place and the vibes of the place. It was very good. I don't know. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I honestly felt that it was such a big deal. Not just the event itself, which had, again, there were 2 rooms, 2 huge rooms. One had the Pro Tour area, plus I would say around 500 tables for people to play with, the casual play. And that was full on Saturday. With a lot of people that could also come to watch the Pro Tour. You didn't need an extra pass or anything. You just needed the MagicCon badge. And then the other room, which had all the side events, the panelists, the big stage where people were, making shows and everything. Yeah, it really felt like just an event to just go there, meet a lot of content creator alongside with the players, of course, and just play the side events, which were there were very many side events.
Yeah, I don't even know which events were happening, but I assume there were a lot of them. I guess I didn't go that far. I just spent more time just going around the places, and there were. I mean, I remember most of the commander areas, but yeah, you just could feel a lot of people were just I mean, like, it was a good vibe place for me. Like, a lot of people having fun, you know, a lot of like different scenarios or whatever. Like, also the communications were good. Yeah, I mean, same as Philly. Like, I mean, this time at least I got more time to see the things, but it was good. Also, they had good side events. Like all these like show what's the name, like Secret Alert tournaments, whatever.
Secret Layer Showdown.
Yeah, all the PTQs. Like, it seemed to me like there were like actually relevant / large side events happening the whole weekend, and that's also very cool.
The PTQ had an amazing structure, which I complimented you for. Basically,
True.
It was a sealed event with 7 rounds of Swiss, so it was capped. And if you made top 32 of the sealed, they would cut you in 4 tables, so 4 pot of 8, and you draft, and each winner of this draft would get a Pro Tour invite for Barcelona.
Yeah, like, that's so much better than playing all the rounds and then making top 8 and then making one draft where half the people get in, right? Like, it's just better. Like, for one, it gives more weight to the rounds of draft also. Like, makes it less random on the seal, but also, like, makes the draft, I don't know, it just feels like it's more and more, like, exciting.
Yeah, it gives definitely more importance to the draft because you have to 3-0, not just win the quarterfinals, unlike, if it was like a normal deck tournament, we cut to the top 8. And also, it's less variance because, we all know how sealed it is, more variance than draft, and now you just have to top 32, you don't have to top 8.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially in sealed where, like, the most frustrating rounds in a way is where, like, you have a good deck or whatever, but you get to round 6, you are 5-0, and they're like, your opponent's gonna have like 6 rares because that's how sealed is, right? Like, the fact that you need to go 6-1 or whatever, it's actually kind of rough, but this way, I mean, 7 rounds, what was it, like 5-1, like 5-2? 4-1, 4-1, I guess.
Yeah, I think Kalka made it there with 5-1-1.
Yeah.
On Saturday. Yeah, so many friends of ours lost the final. Kalk, Eduardo, Spike, Aspiring Spike also lost the final.
Yeah, many people. I mean, there were a lot of finals, but yeah, also we happen to know most of the people losing the finals. I also know someone that won the PTQ though. Like, I think Zach King won the PTQ on Friday. I think he won this finals against against Eduardo or something. Someone I know. Yeah. Maybe what's called? I don't know who was, but I saw the brackets later, and so I thought I saw Thag had won against someone I know. I think.
Yeah, Eduardo is just great. I hung around with him when was that on Sunday night. Such a fun person to be around with.
Yeah, I talked to him on Sunday like midday or something. We're waiting for Nate in the finals, and it was good to. Honestly, it was good to see a lot of like some of like these people like we love to be with, like get to talk with him, like with them, like Hayne, whatever. There's a lot of players. I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, Hayne, Siggy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, like this. Like, yeah, I just talked to a lot of friends this weekend, and even though obviously you don't get to spend much time with them, you get some minutes, you share some battles, and you get all this like. Do you remember that day when we blah 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 blah?
For sure.
And that is a good feeling. I tried again to speak to people more than before in tournaments, which Mengo also noted.
Yeah, usually Javier in the past used to be on the corners watching anime on tablet, but this weekend you were no tablet on site, just talking to people.
I wanted to do it, but I didn't at the end. Like, I thought that on Saturday I will do it, but ultimately I didn't. I would just, I just chose people again. I don't know if it's going to keep being like this in the future, but at least that's 2 PT in a row where I actually did not get to put any show on. I did in Sofia though, and I don't know if in Naples. I think in Naples I also did, but in Philly and in Naples I don't know, I just didn't feel the need to do so. Maybe I'm just more in peace whenever I sit down to play. I don't need to focus that hard. I don't know, actually. I don't know what it is. I hope I will be able to explain to myself at least why, but I just didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like I needed it, so I just didn't do it. It was a good thing.
But by the way, Javier, I wanted to tell you one thing, because this week I was in the PT testing house with Team China Fireball, and I kept on saying the word midday.
Yes.
For 12 p.m. right?
For noon, you mean?
Noon. Yeah, but
it's called noon. No?
For them, midday it's like the middle of the day, so it's like a time zone that varies from, let's say, 12 to 3 or 4. It's not actually an hour. It's unlike us, you know what I mean?
No, for Spanish, midday is like also this. I think, like
Yes.
12 to 3 or so.
Oh, okay. Oh, because for me that would be like exactly noon, exactly 12 p.m.
No,
That's what
I
you
think
would-
of for it as around lunchtime. Like midday,
Oh,
midday.
okay,
I think
okay.
for me at least, I don't know if it's whole Spain, but for me, or to my family, whatever, midday is like the lunchtime. So it goes from like 12:30 to 4, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, because I kept on saying how the deck registration was midday, but every person was like, yeah, but like at what time? And I was like, yeah, it's a midday.
Exactly noon.
And so, yeah. Now I know that I should not say
That was a strange
that
deadline,
anymore.
actually. By the way, right? Like it's
It was good. After all, it was good. I enjoyed having more time to spend on just also being more relaxed. I'm kind of a big fan of earlier deadline.
no, me too,
Right
me too.
now.
No, I meant about the fact that it was like a noon and not like a night.
Yeah,
Like they usually do local midnight, right? And this
yeah.
time they went for local noon, which I don't know why. I'm sure they have some reasons, but it was we made a last change actually. Like on that morning, the Finnish commando Matti and Jonas decided we needed obliterating bolt, so we actually made that change. We had Geeks command and we switched it for the bolt. So and bolt was very good for both. For at least for me, it was very good. So I'm glad we made this change, but it was only made because of that strange like deadline time. And I'm saying like if you have any idea why they will make it, like I don't know, it's I'm pretty sure some people maybe almost messed up. I mean, we played like as it was Tuesday night, like the deadline was Wednesday noon,
Yeah.
but we behaved as it was Tuesday night, even though it was good to have more time. I agree, but also we had a little bit less, like we had one less morning to draft and chill, so it goes both ways, right?
Sure. I mean, after all, I was kind of set on my Grixis deck for a while, as in my testing, Grixis was definitely good against Rakdos, but you guys came up with a very different Rakdos list than the one I was playing against. No Archfiend of Dross, and just overall just behaving as a Grixis deck with better mana.
Yeah, I mean, we tried Grixis a lot. We tried a lot of like these black red decks and whatever. But yeah, it just felt like I remember playing sets where Grixis deck will just not be ahead, and we were like, I mean, how is that possible? Like it's a mirror match where you have one more color because you put a card that is in the mirror, yet you will still lose more, and that was a big breakout for us. Like it was like, well, we don't need to build the Rakdos deck as an aggro deck. We can just build it like people build Grixis, and just bang on the power of the the strong cards to win the late game. You don't need to have as many like dual lands just screwing up your mid game plans. I found like the mana issues not like I expected Grixis to be bad against the matchups where the Tablons in turn 2 were bad because of the triumphs or whatever. But I remember referring to the triumphs at the end of the testing like scam lands because they will actually you will almost never cycle them, but you will lose games because in turn 8 you could not go like invoke into Fable and whatever. So I would just, at some point, like identify like having triumphs as the actual worst part of Grixis. So we will move like into Grixis with 2 or 3 triumphs and a very more smooth mana. Like Anthony even went for like with trying to splash only the Bracer. We went through all the different configurations, but ultimately like they were never like ahead of Rakdos. Like you could artificially try to have one that was fine. But it will only take one adaptation from Rakdos to just be back ahead again, and it was because the mana was too good, and not to speak of the Transmogrant situation, like where all the Grixis versions will actually have a travel against Transmogrant, but 10 basic swamps is a lot of basic swamps for a card like Transmogrant. So it was ultimately we just ended on the Rakdos one, which I mean I'm glad we did because I think the deck was very good for the tournament. I mean obviously.
Yeah, during the tournament, when I was playing Grixis, I lost to Rakdos, and when I was playing Rakdos in the PTQ on Sunday, I beat Grixis. So it was definitely in my own tiny experience on this matchup. I think that the new list that you guys came up with was definitely different than the old one. Like the combination of Light Up the Night plus Chandra Hope's Beacon. For those of you who don't know, Light Up the Night is a fireball, but has a very strange flashback that says you pay 4 and you remove X counters from a planeswalker, and that's your that's your fireball. So the way it works, you can plus 2 Chandra, so it goes up to 7, and you can pay the 4 mana from Light Up the Night using Chandra's static ability somehow, and you can deal up to 14 damage out of nowhere.
Which is a lot. That's the Anthony combo, actually. It was Anthony who brought it up. You will probably hear about this in his new podcast, whatever the name is. But it was Anthony combo. Fun fact, though, I never did it. Like, I actually never firewalled anyone or did the combo in tournament. Like, it never happened to me. I just was too busy drawing Fable every game. But I never went, like, to the combo at any point of the tournament. We actually... Like, there was the Anthony combo. It was interesting because we actually... we agreed on the overall plan of Rakdos. Like, all the team played Rakdos, but we had so many different deck lists, which something I was not very comfortable with, but we followed all the same philosophy. Like, all the decks, if you look at them, it's like often like 74 or 73 cards the same, mostly. Some people like Trespasser a little bit more. Some people like the Transmortem more. I think Anthony had one more Light of the Night. Like, we had like one different cards. Like, I think it was only... I think me, Nate, Ape, and I don't know if the Fiends played the exact same 75. I know me and Nate played 75, but I think that's it. Like, almost every other player had like one card off from others. So we actually came to the same conclusion of like the overall archetype, but it's not like we all think we were 14 people or whatever. It's not like we all ended in the same exact deck list. We had like some disagreement. So it's, at this point, it's still hard to tell which one was right, of course, but I'm happy with our conclusions, and I will not probably change too much going forward. Like, the deck is obviously it performed well in the tournament, and it's easy to go with like, there were 2 copies in the same deck list in the top 8, but I don't think that makes it necessarily like, I don't think the results in one tournament makes a deck list better, especially for something that small, like one card or whatever, because drawing one more Fable is probably more important than just having like a little bit of a better deck list. But yeah, overall, of course, like this deck list was very good to be with, but I felt like the most important part for me, at least playing the tournament, was not exactly that we had a better deck list, but like the strategic concept. Like, I think we learned how to play the matches, like the mirror matches, and how to approach them. I felt like that was more important to me than the actual, one more cyber slot against one deck or whatever. Just to focus on what mattered the most, and try to play the rest as well and such. I think this was more a tournament of like focusing, play the games better than actually just focusing that much on how to build the deck on one slot against one matchup. At least that's my impression. Do
you want to share something that people at home might? It's like a common mistake that people would do in the mirror match. Maybe like mulliganing, for example. Like, 5 lands, 2 spell. It's like, basically it's the range of... No, for real. Like, I've been asked people like, oh, we should have mulliganed this hand, and they would show me like 5 lands, invoke, and another card, and like it's obviously a keep in the mirror, in the for duress mirror match, but anything else that you think people might play differently?
That's the thing. Like, some of us also did not agree too much in which cards were good or better. So we had this problem where there were like different small groups of playing within the team, because when 2 players play the matchup, like how these players play the matchup ended like telling a story about how the matchup went. The issue is every player of players had different conclusions, because different play styles led into different cards being good or wrong, like good or bad, right? That already tells a lesson. Like, depending on how the games are going to go, some cards are going to be better or worse. So, and it's still, I think mulliganing in this kind of matchups is very bad, especially post-sideboard. In my winning against Nate, post-sideboard, I kept a hand of 2 Sockenson, 3 good lands, a Braid, and Cut Down on the draw. What do you think about this hand, Mengu?
Yeah.
I think it's a Mengu keep. I don't know if you will agree.
Yeah. I was talking about this, like, the range of keep is basically like 5 lands, 2 spells. Like, it's going to be very hard to come up with 2 spells that don't make you keep a 5 lands, 2 spell hand.
I think it is, but, I played against Hane, and he mulliganed a 5 land, 2 Appraiser hand, which is, to me, the absolute Mango hand, because you kept that hand in Naples, right? And he mulliganed to the same hand. He kept, he drawing to 4 lands and 2 Appraisers. And I still don't know if 5 lands oppressors is keep, but if it's not keep, it has to be close, right? Like if it's like 5 lands, one other spell, and one oppressor is probably a keep. Like oppressor is particularly bad in multiples there, I guess. But mulliganing a lot is, I think, one of the small leaks you can have. Also, so one thing that for me was the case, and like also, I mean, so the version we made about the deck was. We had like a lot of games before, but like a lot of games with Terry Bad, and we had a lot of internet gaming. But there in the house, I saw like 2 super long sessions, like a bunch of hour sessions playing with Nathan, and we ended having like a weird conclusion where we often will take the Bankbusters and answer the Bankbusters over the Fables, which is not how game ones work. Like for Cyborg, like we will often go duress, and we'll be like, think a lot, and then just take Bankbuster. Obviously, after the 4th time, we will not think a lot anymore. We will have to get Bombasters in those draws. Like, you have to be. I think the majors, you have to be ready to understand that everything is relative to the game and the board state. Like that includes cards like Fable, which are like the best cards in 2-3 or whatever, but they can actually be not good, depending on what your opponent is doing. Or stuff like, do I hold the Bombaster or do I play it out? Because playing it out sometimes, like you have to be aware of the snowball effects of the things. Like not playing a Bombaster might mean you might not be able to create in response to an invoke to protect your creature. But also playing it means the Abrade can kill the Bombaster so you don't draw a card. I think it's important to just every game try to assess what is relevant for that game. And yeah, this and not mulliganing too much, I guess, will be the 2 big things for this.
When choosing the deck, I was sometimes trying new decks, like the Reanimator deck or the Breach deck that my teammates came up with, and I just never felt confident that I knew exactly what was going on. Whereas when I was playing Grixis, exactly what exactly what you just said, just when to draw Bankbuster, when to not play Bankbuster. There's no real rule. Like I asked you the question, but I kind of expected it to be like depends an answer as an answer, because like every situation is so different. For example, I was watching Zen Takashi play against Austin in the PTQ final, basically like the 4 finals that it was at that event, and Austin just took this like playing creature and attacking with Bankbuster, whereas maybe I would have just drawn cards with Bankbuster. And I'm not saying that he made a mistake. I'm just saying that my play style was maybe with more like Grixis in mind, of always drawing with Bankbuster instead of starting attacking because I have like a Fireball in my deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there are some... That's another difference, right? Like, we can play those games, like, not every player played the games the same way. Like, I think maybe Austin was more proactive and you will be more defensive, and that's not necessarily, like, super bad or super wrong, but I will say I will default to be more defensive as you are, also. Overall. I mean,
I kind of learned to play Grixis from you and Anthony, which...
Okay, yeah, I mean, that makes sense then.
Yeah, in my Grixis deck, I played 4 Bankbuster main and 2 Abrade because I really felt that was the most important thing in the mirror over like, Blade Coast Serpent or Chandra or things like that. I was kind of surprised to see that you only had 1 Abrade. That card... Yeah.
That's because, one, we didn't think Bankbuster was that good game 1, as opposed in the previous format. And 2, we actually expected a little people to play 3 Bankbusters game 1. And we also had 2 Duresses, which are in a way for the early game, which is where Bankbuster can actually run away with the game, sort of an Abrade. So we had 5 answers to an early Bankbuster against presumably 3 Bankbusters. I think that was fine. I could have been playing 2, but playing 2 will make us weaker to Shieldred.
Why you say 5 answers? Abrade to the rest?
Sorry, 3 answers. Sorry. 3 answers three. I'm sorry, I have misread. 3 answers to 3 Bankbusters.
Okay.
We felt was fine. Knowing the metagame though, I would have liked to play 2 Abrades. Over 2 cutdowns in a way, but personally I played that against a lot of Esper, so for me cutdown was much better than Abrade, but I know for other people it was not the case. But I think I played 3-4 Espers, I just played against a lot of Esper. Which
because the next day when I played PTQ, I just adapted your list. I didn't even ask if you wanted to do any changes or anything, but I definitely felt like the second Abrade, maybe over the 4th, go for the Throat, is what I was thinking.
I think I will swap a Cutdown for an Abrade for that metagame. The thing you go for the throat, the thing is, it is very easy to lose to Shieldred, which was one of the bigger lessons. Like, I remember there was one set where we sat down to play, and I was like, well, Trespasser is the worst card, it's unplayable, but Nate didn't like the Shieldred. So we both had a card we disliked a lot. And one thing we realized kind of fast is, even though we expect the Shieldred to be bad, even game one, where it's arguably worse, it's very easy to lose to Shieldred. Like, it is easy. Like, all it takes for you to lose to Shieldred is you don't have a Go for the Throat in your hand, and they have more than one creature. That's it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
if that happens,
you also have Chandra now. You also have Chandra now that answers Shieldred.
Kinda, but answering Shieldred with Chandra is way from ideal. Like, it's
no, for sure.
It's kind of roughish. Like, also Chandra is such a premium card. Like, using Chandra as a removal spell, it's often a very bad sign. Like,
I know, but like, I also played for Go for the Throat in my Grixis deck, so
I think it's important. I think Austin played 3 Go for the Throats. Some people of our team played 3 Go for the Throats, but I think that's a card we cut for the second Light of the Night. But my impression, both and Nate, just ended being tired of just losing to Shieldred in spots where we should not. Like, it just kept happening again and again. And I think it also happened because we were valuing the draw spells so high that our Go for the Throats were like discarded to Fable more often. You know, we're playing in a way where we were not expecting this card, like the Shieldreds. So it went to a point where they were just super good. And once we adjusted, we expected it to become bad again. But the thing is, Shieldred, just by raw power level, it just kept being good. And, you know, Go for the Throat answers Shieldred positively. Like, it's a very good answer there. And it's also not a dead card otherwise. But for me, yeah, I will definitely not play for the Go for the Throat. I killed my first share of Shieldred. Also very good against Esper, of course. But even in mirror matches, it's such an easy way to lose when you're ahead. It's probably the easier way to lose when you're ahead. Like, you resolve an Invoke, whatever, they're low life, but you don't have a Go for the Throat, but you're good. You know, you have a Fable, you're winning the game, and suddenly they play Shieldred, you look at your hand, and, you know, you lose. We have lost.
I understand you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have also lost games in testing with to Shieldred when you were like super ahead. That's something that's very hard to read, you know?
Yeah, so the Trespasser has always felt awful whenever I was playing Grixis because we had extra, like, Corpse Appraiser and, you know, things like that was just 3 power to trade with. But I've been actually impressed. I was always siding it out, but I've been impressed in game 1. For example, I remember in my winning for top 8, I'm on the draw in the Rakdos Mirror. And my opponent curves, like, let's say, Bankbuster, I braid it, or just, you know, Harvester, and I kill it. And then he goes turn 3 Fable on the play. And on my turn 3, I have literally like every option, you know, and I choose to go Trespasser.
Yep, that is what it's best, though.
Yeah. And I felt that was the best spot for Trespasser since my opponent, you know, didn't have an Invoke. So, you know, if they had an Invoke, whatever, you know, I would have been got. But yeah, so I felt impressive there. Again, I set it out. I did play against 2 Reanimator, so it was reasonable there. But
even if they had Invoke there, they cannot really cast it. Like, they have to lose a token to cast it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought. I was like, you know, if I play Fable, I think it's worse. If I play, removal spell, I think it's worse. So I'm just going to play Trespasser.
Trespasser is very good there. And Trespasser is extremely tricky to evaluate. We also struggled a little bit about evaluating it. We had half of the team saying it was great, and me and Nathan thought it was like super bad. I personally was like the biggest hater of it. But obviously, as it commonly happened in Magic, it was not as bad as we thought it was, and it was not as good as they thought it was, right? So we just played enough until we get to understand Trespasser better. And Trespasser does a lot of things for the deck. It just keeps the creature count high, which might be a simple thing, but it's easy to forget that if you cut enough creatures, some stuff starts to happen, like Bambusters becomes quite weaker, right? Like, you don't have the ability to creo aggressively. But also, there's a lot of subtle things, like you get worse against Invoke Despair. Your Invokes get worse because you don't tax the left as much. You know, there's a lot of small things that actually happen when you don't have enough, like, ground creatures to Trespasser. Like Trespasser. Like, if you have Trespasser, also your shoulders are a little bit stronger because, you know, you attack more, so sometimes they have to kill the Trespasser. Like, it happens. Even though they try to not kill it, but it does happen, especially if they want to, like, invoke or whatever. So it's a good thing to have a card like this, and it's also like good enough in terms of raw stats. Like sometimes you just play it against Esper or whatever, you know, and you just gain 2 life and it becomes a 4/4, then attacks, and suddenly you're racing. And most of the games you're racing fast in situations where you have to decide between attacking or not. It involves a Trespasser because it is a great card in terms of racing. Even without flipping, like you played, you drain 1, and then you attack next turn, you drain another 1. That's already solid, you know, for a 3 mana card that doesn't, you know, eat a removal.
Another reason why Trespasser would be good in this deck is for the reflection of Kiki-Jiki. So like when you flip Fable, you don't have Corpse Appraiser to copy. So if you also cut Trespasser, you literally only copy Harvester, Goblin Token, or Bank Buster, which is, you know, very few targets, I think.
Yeah, it makes the Fable a little bit better. I don't think that's a big issue, but it's one more thing. Like, I think it's quite rare to copy the Trespasser, but it does happen. And, you know, when it happens, it makes a difference.
I played against Mono White. I don't know how many Mono White you expected it from your team.
Not too many, but some.
Not too many. Yeah, same. We kind of realized that, I don't know, my team, the Channel Fireball Ultimate Guard and Friends, is just kind of the name they come up with, team was very high on Breach and the Tally. So like very high on these like go big decks, which kind of punished Mono White. So we really expected Mono White to be low, and in fact it was. There was only 9, I believe, with Autumn top 8 with Orzhov.
Yeah, also Autumn's probably the best way to build Mono White, right? Because their build makes sense. Like, I think the discards they have in the deck actually protected the Mono White deck against their weaknesses. So I think it's a very good approach, and I haven't played with this deck, but it could simply just be a very good deck. I don't know. At least it does make a lot of sense. You know, on paper, you see the deck list, and it's like this deck makes sense. And I think that's a good sign.
They were playing Mono White, splashing Breach,
and Duress,
and some removal spell, and Duress in the sideboard.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it looks to me like Duress was the big like the big thing. I mean, if I have to guess the order, like Duress is like something you want to play Mono White, and then once you play in black, you have to can also play like a big finisher, because Mono White lacks like Italy or Breach or something like this wins a game. So Breach has it, and there were some Mono White / red decks online, but red only adds like Italy, obviously also Fable, but it's not like that good in Mono White. But the fact that you add black and I kind of felt like, wow, this seems good enough that we should have tried it, you know? Even if we were like super likely to play Rakdos from the beginning, because Rakdos is all I play. Just Shieldred, Fable, Harvester, and Buster in all formats apparently. But
for me personally, when I played against Mono White, I mostly won because of the Light of the Night. Like, just dealing 8 damage direct. Like, without it, I don't think I would have done it.
Yeah, that card. So I was not a big fan of Light of the Night. Overall, like I did fight a little bit against that card in our deck, but then I played. We played a few games. I think we played like 8 games instead of 10 games. And you know the way Nate described it was like he just could do anything. Like if I just drew the Light of the Night or the Light plus Shanna combo, he just could not interact, and he was dead to it. And it was true. Like I didn't need to play the classic aggression plan against Mono White, because just by adding 1 card to my deck, if the card wasn't like top 30 whatever, I would just win every time I drew it. And that's such a big that's such a huge equity swing for 1 card. Like every time in a format like Standard, when there's a matchup that's like somewhat played, and if having only 1 card makes you like so much better, I think it's worth having it. You know, it's also like a fine card in other decks, but Mono White, I think, was the big reason to play this light card, because, you know, against Mirror, it's good to have access to Fireball, but obviously Fireball is not a constructed card, you know, like it's not great. Even if you kill like a Harvester or a Fable for 2 mana, that's not ideal, you know, Sorcerer Speed or whatever. But like the fact that this card just changed the game so much. Like even the face Fireball is good against Mono White, but obviously the combo just puts it over the top. And it just, yeah. If I had played against Mono White, I would feel very happy to have the Light of the Night in my deck.
Yeah. I was looking at your tiebreaker. It's kind of funny. You had a 76% game win, and then I went to look at your matches, and you were like almost won every match 2-0.
I actually like didn't realize.
On day 2, you lost 1 game.
Well, I lost 1 match, so probably lost 2 games.
On day 2, right, sorry, yeah, round 9.
Now you're saying Yeah, I actually had a lot of 2-0s. I didn't.
Yeah, I was watching. Like, it's so cool. Like if you have a 76 game win percentage, and then like everyone in the first page, the highest is 65, whatever. Whatever.
I
It's just
didn't realize.
funny
It's a
stats.
good stat. I had no idea. But no, yeah, now I'm remembering the matches one by one, and yeah, there were a lot of 2-0s. Also some 2-1s though. Like against Simon, it was 2-1.
I remember
Yeah.
testing against Reed and Nassif, and we kind of found out that being on the draw in the Greek. I mean, obviously we never chose to be on the draw, but we had a long session of the deck on the draw winning every game, and of like a very long. Like I would say it happened. It happened about 6 times in this session of like we played 10 matches, and the deck on the draw won 6 of these 10 matches. And I guess it's not that big of a sample size, maybe, as I speak, but it kind of like happened all in a row, and now you're saying you won 2 a lot. Being on the draw wasn't as big of a deal as I think it was advertised. What do you think?
I'm glad you brought this because we actually did not super agree on this. Of course, level 1 is, we played some matches and some games, game ones, and we always was saying, like, whoever's on the play in the black and middle wins the game. Like, being on the play is just great. If you play on 3 Fable on the play, the game's over. Some were joking, like, yeah, if you play 3 mana Fable and it's not killed in the opponent, you can just scope and just move to the next game, right? So there was like all these exaggerations, of course, but I felt like that, like, of course, some games were just won because the deck was on the play, but also I felt like there was some like level of inconsistency where you had to pay, because of the whole like being on the play, having one less card. That's not a big deal, but it is a big deal when you have to hit your 6 land or 4 channel, right? Or invoke or whatever. And go. Say.
No, I was just going to say that our conclusion was that maybe because of Grixis, so like make disappear is better when you're on the draw. So some small thing like that.
Yeah, it's more, but because I'm gonna keep saying, like, so we tried something that I actually don't really try much, but because we're testing online recently. But I went with Nate and I just put him on the play. Like, I just thought, like, okay, let's just test like all the session. He was on the play after sideboard. Like, we just played like a bunch of post sideboard games, and also like trying to adapt my deck to what was happening. And at the beginning, he just started crushing me a lot. But then I was slowly changing my deck, like, playing less trespassers or whatever, and we eventually like got to a point where it was not that big of a deal, even though we were having like these like games where he will just be in the play and just curve out. But after curving, like the other games, being on the draw also didn't feel that much different. And we tried to play like this a lot. And one thing that happened many times is taking duress first was one of the biggest upside of being on the play. Not the Fable being better, but the duress being able to take a duress to clean the space for Bankbuster. That is something that I think happened a lot. But then, I mean, we just play like this and try to make a plan based on being on the draw. And when we switched on the afternoon to me being on the play, he already knew how to play against me. And I never felt like being on the play was like such a huge advantage in post-cyber games. So I think game 1, it's actually like quite impactful, but not as much as advertised, but impactful. Mostly because we were playing a lot of cat downs, which cat down is like one of the cards that are better on the draw than on the play. So the having that many cat downs will make me on the draw way less bad. And I think if we play like with 0 cat downs, as we used to, like by Naples or whatever, I think being on the draw will be much worse. But I think with so many cat downs, like, I mean, think about it, like a Fable game 1, like it's good, obviously, but if you go like cat down and you play your own Fable, whatever, who's even ahead? Like, it's hard to tell because they have to spend a turn 4 kill on the Goblin, and sure, they will invoke before you do, but depending on how it goes, like if they don't have like a removal, you can probably get ahead. Like, there's so many situations where they just go harvest, like Fable, you kill it, you play your Fable, and then if they blow like a She-Aldred, you can just kill it, attack with the Fable, and play another creature. And sadly, their invokes are like tempo negative, even if they're like good. So you can just put in you can have a lot of games that are not very obvious to craft. Like, in a way where you see being on the draw was actually better. And I think these games actually count as well. Like, of course, then again, the best draws, being on the play just wins the game. But that's mostly true for all the mirror matches in standard, right? Like, if you're playing a standard and you're playing two mid-range decks in your mirror, obviously having the perfect draw is going to make being on the play better. But I think I can agree with you. I think being on the draw is bad, but not super bad.
Yeah, the point of cut down is huge because again, when me and Calc were testing for Naples, turn favorable to play one all the time, whereas again it was not happening when we were playing these mirror matches. And then it's when I saw Jabberwocky keeping in the cut down on the draw in the Grixis mirror. And then we realized that maybe instead of having like Obliterating Bolt or Soul Transfer as an answer to Transmogrant, we tried Flameless Bolt instead, which would keep over cut down on the draw against Grixis. And that was kind of like, I think that was like a pretty good discovery. Again, overall, Grixis was just worse than Rakdos, so no need to play Flameless Bolt because your opponent is hardly siding in a Transmogrant against you, but we really felt that having removal spells for 1 mana was good. This is why, if you remember, I asked you about how many cut down do you keep on the draw. You said 1?
Yeah, it really depends on what they're doing. Like, so another thing I found, because at the beginning, in that set I said, I started having because our default plan was something like having 3 to 4 cut downs in the draw, because they're good in the draw, bad on the play, right? So we just keep keep all of them, at least the 3 we're playing main deck, on the draw. So what happened though, after a few games of losing, I was losing a lot to cards like Sheoldred and Invoke with cut downs in hand. And I was like, okay, being on the draw is bad, but I'm feeling like it's not that bad because it's bad in terms of tempo. It is bad because I'm having cut down in my deck, which suck. And I'm losing not because they play a Sheoldred 1 turn earlier. I'm losing because my answers are not good against the threats that matter. So I felt like I was losing way more because I had cut down in my deck than I was losing because I was on the draw. So I think cut down is better on the draw, but it also depends on what the game is about. Because game 1 was more about creatures than game 2 and 3. Because game 2 and 3 they had this all the rest trading or whatever, and then it was easier to resolve a Chandra game 1, I think, than Poseidon, right? So you can never. I think it was easier to also function more because if the Poseidon it's harder to have a Fable going on or a Master going on, right? But Poseidon you also see more cards because of this, and once you see more cards, having cards like cut down, they're heavier in your hand. Also you have less Fable to discard the cut downs, and I remember a game where I drew all 3, and I was like, this isn't acceptable. I used 1 to a Harvester and I had 2 more, and he won Sheoldred Invoke, and I was like, how is this even how is this unacceptable to have in my deck? And obviously,
the important thing in testing, of course, you have to not only think about, I draw the card at the wrong time, but also when is really the right time. If I play a turn 1 cut down, is it that much better? Then you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have to wait the positive and the negative effects.
Yeah, but also for doing this, you need to 1, have time to do it, and 2, be able to identify these things. Sometimes you're losing the game, but it's hard to see if you lost the game because your opponent top deck an Invoke or because you had a cut down. Because maybe you cut the cut downs and then you have to go for throw the Harvester and then you lose to Sheoldred, which is something that also happened, that's the reason why you want to have cut down, right? So you can kill the creatures on tempo and then you have answers to Sheoldred. But that's not exactly how the game split out in my experience. I think playing with Grixis, I think that was true for our exact version, but I think playing with Grixis or a different version of Flagred could actually mean cut down is good. I will have to test it again. We only tested these tight situations for specifically our deck, but I don't think that will be true. Because all the cards behave differently. In different decks behave differently. Think of Trespasser. It behaves different here than it does in Pioneer, right? It's just a different situation. Same Sheoldred. These cards are different.
What about Harvester? Did you have Harvester on the play and not on the draw? Did you sometimes not follow this play? How were you behaving with the Harvesters?
My impression was that how the deck was built, Harvester was very needed just to make sure the Invokes kept being good. I think cutting Harvester here, I just think Harvester is one of the best cards if I'm on the deck. and one of the best cards in the standard. So the same as I do in Pioneer, Harvester pretty much like almost never goes out for me in this deck. Like you can cut one in the draw sometimes, but I just, if I'm playing a removal game, I like Harvester. And if I want to have like a grindy game, I want Harvester for different reasons. I mean, the biggest reason there, though, is just to keep my deck like to be functional as a mid-range deck. Like I want my Rakdos midrange to be a Rakdos midrange. It is very important for me to make sure the deck is never Rakdos control. Because if you're playing Rakdos control, you're missing this equity of games where you just go Harvester into, Fable, and suddenly they're just being attacked into. And sometimes it happens, like you have two Harvesters and they have like these duress, invoke, shielded hands, and you just beat them with Harvesters. And I think for me, the Harvester is like simply too good, because when it's bad, you still get a 3-2 that's sort of a removal that also cycles a card. Like I think Blood is just a very strong mechanic in this deck, and for the reason, I believe Harvester is a little bit too good to cut overall.
I made my own cyber guide about your deck for the Sunday PTQ, and then I wrote for CFP Pro. And I was keeping the Harvester, both play and draw, against Rakdos, but instead against Grixis, I was cutting them.
I think they're too good against Rakdos, and against Grixis, they're worse, but also Harvester has like synergy with Transmogrant in a way.
Yeah, exactly. I was in fact, it's pretty tough, because the thing is that, I don't know, I felt that against Grixis I had to bring in a little bit more cards. Like, for example, the Rotten Reunion. Against Grixis, I think it's good.
Yeah, and I think it's good. I didn't play it. Liliana is tricky. I think Liliana is one of the worst cards in the deck. I think Liliana...
I felt that against Grixis it was good, because sometimes Grixis just sits on counter spells. So having a Liliana in play, it's alright, because you tick up and they have cards. Whereas in the mirror match, Liliana, I don't think it's that good, because it's always empty-handed.
Yeah, the thing with Liliana is it's kind of underpowered for 2023 standard. Like the days where Liliana is a great card, like in modern 2013, where it will just run away with the games, these days are over, right? Like the card's just like more like a niche card for certain situations, particularly in the play. The thing with Liliana is it is never like great, but it does also a pretty good job at being decent. Like it's very rare that you're in the play against a deck where you're like considering blinking Liliana. It's rare for it to be super bad. Like you play a mirror match or you play against Grixis and you have Liliana on the play, and it's gonna be decent. It's gonna eat a creature, kill a Fable or kill a Harvester or whatever. Yeah, I think it lets you cut bad cards.
I felt that that's exactly what I did in my guide. I was bringing in Liliana to play because I had to cut the cat down, but on the draw I liked cat down and I didn't bring Liliana.
But that's good enough, right? That Liliana is there to make sure the sideboard in and out guides, whatever you make, they kind of fit. Because if you don't have a card like Liliana, you have some actually quite fake cards, like a fair amount of cards that are better in the draw, and also like some bad cards in some matchups. Like if you don't want to have removal, for example, because your opponent plays like blue-white control, like having a card like Liliana lets you sideboard well. But also if you play against a deck like Esper, you also can have this Liliana and sideboard out a little bit of your top-end cards, which are too heavy. And that's a very good card to have in a sideboard. Like the fact that it's never a 10 doesn't make it a bad card. It's always like a 6 or 7, but lets me replace consistently across the matchups 5s or 4s for 7s, right? And I think that's something Liliana does very well. Like it's not about like her raw power anymore, but it's about like how flexible it can be in terms of like sideboarding.
Yeah, remember about this topic, Nassif was suggesting to play Hollow Forager because it was the same thing that you just suggested. Like it could come in every matchup. It was always fine. It could cover the, I want to sideboard out more invokes or in the mirror match because it's good with like, cheap removals but like cut down or duress.
Yep, I think it's a good type of sideboard. I think it's a good use for sideboard slot in a deck like this. Like I think a deck like Rakdos Midrange, which has cards that are like very good or very bad. Like you have Invoke against Soldiers, it's bad, right? So you want to have something there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I was impressed by Rotten Reunion and Light Up the Stage because I was so freely discarding them to the many ways you discard in this deck. Again, Liliana, Fable, Harvester.
Yeah.
And they were just very relevant in the late game. So this is definitely two cards that I think everyone's underrated in this Pro Tour.
Yeah, I mean, for us, Rotten Union, I don't know which was. I think it was Tristan. I don't know who put the Rotten Union in the deck, but for me, the first time I cast the card, I was instantly sold. Like, you just couldn't get the rest. This Aura Braid like the Hearse did, and it was very hard to play around because unlike Hearse, like, you didn't know if you have it. Like, if you have it in your hand, like, if they ever go Cruelty of Geeks Reanimate and you do this card, play this, it's just like game over, you know? And if they do know you have it, it's because you got a 2-for-1, because you either discarded it to draw a card or they had to duress it or whatever, you know? Like, it's, I think it's very good. I don't think it's a card to play too, but I haven't played with the card that much. Like, you can actually use it like a sort of lava spike, you know? I think the card is simply good stats for what it does. It can kill the Buster, you know, it's a decent card.
I got paired against Tristan in the PTQ, and he played it so he sighted it in the mirror and he played it in response to my invoke and kept whatever creature he had. I don't remember.
You know, that doesn't seem to like basically inept, right? In a way, like it gets one card and it's just used for like a flashback also. So I don't know. The card is a good card. I don't think it was good to play in multiples, but I could see a universe where Reanimator is like more played and having 2 is correct. I think it's better than hers. And then again, I don't think I played the card ever in the tournament. I supported it once or twice, but I never got to cast the Reunion or Droid or anything. But I was too busy drawing Fables and Invokes. Yeah, as I said before, that's how my tournament went.
Yeah, I got paired against two Reanimator, so I got to draw it and one Grixis. So I actually drew it all the time in the Cyber games.
It was good, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I never flash it back, but the fact that it was just sitting in the graveyard for sure made my opponent play differently.
Yeah, that's true, but that's that free advantage. I think that's also exactly. An improvement like this, like, it doesn't look like a big deal, but nowadays, I mean, the edges are so tight in Magic. Like, having a card like this, if your opponent has something worse like a Hearse, that's already quite an edge in a tournament. You know, like, if you play 16 rounds, it is not hard for this to actually impact the game quite a bit. I think just having like Let Up the Night and having one Rotten Union in our deck probably made quite some difference. Not for me, but I know a lot of teammates just played a lot of Fireballs. Like, many players died to Fireballs this weekend in the PT, and I think that's you know, like, we were playing this stock Rakdos with 2 more cards, but that's already like enough, I think, to change things, especially if you're not used to playing against them, which is a big difference.
I want to tell the story that I was 3-1. I got paired against Carl Sarap, your teammate, who ended up, I think, coming second in Swiss.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I was 3-1, feeling pretty good. I got paired against him. I won the die roll. I draw my German Bankbuster, which, by the way, I played 3 Italian Bankbuster and 1 German, because everyone in my team only played 3 Bankbuster. So, you know, the 4th Bankbuster was always the one that, you know, could have been another card, like, you know, a 6-drop or whatever they added. So I drew my turn 2 German Backbuster, and I was just drawing with it. Then I played another one. You know, I was kind of like feeling great about my deck decision, my, you know, everything. And then at this point, I'm kind of flooding. So, you know, despite I was feeling very good, you know, finished 2 Bankbuster and everything, flooding it a bit more. Finally, I draw 1 Corpse Upraiser. I play it. I draw Invoke with it. I play Invoke. I'm fully tapped out, but, you know, I feel like I can't lose, right? Because I have 7 cards. He has like 4.
What's left of him, though?
And then he's thinking about it. It's thinking about it for so long. We are at my end step. And then he goes, I think I have a lethal. And he discards Razorlash Transmigrant to a blood, brings it back, untaps, attacks me, Chandra, Light of the Night, I lose.
Boom.
And I was like, I died with 7 cards in hand. You know, I also draw a counter spell with the 3 from Invoke. And I was like, and then from there, just everything went down. I went 3-4. I barely made day 2. On day 2, I like lost every match. But I felt like that game 1 was the feeling like, I'm winning in this tournament to like, what just happened? I'm losing in this tournament.
Exactly. This deck was capable of making these surprise kills from nowhere. And I think having that power, like this Splinter Twin situation, like in a mid-range deck that's actually like quite functional in any way, that's very powerful. I think there was then again, for me, it didn't come up, like my cards didn't go that way, but I know for a lot of my teammates, Carl, Simon, Nathan, even like Anthony, whatever, and most of the people who actually did reasonably well, they just fireballed a lot of players. And we had a
I
lot
don't
of qualified players, by the way. I think
Yeah.
most of them actually qualified, so that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I was going to say, I don't think we mentioned that, but Anthony also 9-7.
Yes, very happy for him. Anthony, but
Qualifying to Barcelona. Zen
yes.
was crazy. He was 8-6, going 5-1 in draft. He managed to lose the last so many matches to not qualify at the PT. But then the day after, he
2-8.
played Rakdos in the PTQ and he went 6-0.
Imagine if he had played Rakdos in the PT.
Yeah, I know. This is what we're joking about. He played a Rakdos Reanimator. And also my friend Pivo, my good friend Pivo, finished 10-6, going 8-2 in standard with Grixis. Very happy for him.
Pivo, by the way,
again,
is silently like in the good position for the rest of Worlds. I remember Pivo was not qualified for Sofia. He just went without slot for Sofia, won the last two qualifier, qualified for Philadelphia, they're qualified for Minneapolis. What a story. I think Pivo's story is great. You know, it's,
he lost overall 3 winnings because for RC top 8 because he lost 1 in Sofia and 2 in Naples. So yeah, definitely great performances. And the race for Worlds is something interesting because for those of you who don't know, Worlds this year will have 128 players. Some of them come from finishing first or second in the regional championships. Some of them comes from top 8 in the Pro Tour, but most of them will come from just at large slots, as in you just add the points of the Pro Tours and whatever. They fill up to 128 slots with players from the various Pro Tours. So, you know, if you play all the 3 Pro Tours, you made day 2 to all the Pro Tours, you're likely, I would say, to get into Worlds.
Yeah, I think very likely. I think it's very unlikely than anyone that made all D2s. Obviously, as long as they won some matches in D2, I think they are just going to be playing Worlds. I think it's 32 slots plus the duplicated ones, which like Nate has like 3 or 4 already. Like, you know, there's going to be maybe it's going to be 40 or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Nathan's taking a 4 World slot at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're the only one in the card that's not qualified for Worlds, Mengu.
I know.
Something
there's Athens.
Someone had to tell you, you know? It's a
there's
me
Athens,
duty. Stefan is missing doing his new podcast.
So the my next chance to qualify for Barcelona will be the regional championship in Athens, and which comes up actually in like a month, more or less. Today I booked the hotel and he told me like it's exactly in 30 days. My Athens tournament, and I'm coming to your home actually in Barcelona. We're gonna test with the Spanish team for Pioneer. So I have a new format to get better at. You know, it was fun to play a lot of standard, but now bye standard. Time to play Pioneer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for that. That also probably means we will not see Pioneer content in the next weeks. At least like 2 or 3 weeks before the tournament, for sure not, because you know our usual policy, blah blah blah. We only talk about the things we like. If we say something we want it to be true, so we, you know, classic. Since when we have the tournament, we will not talk about Pioneer.
Yeah, this episode was like a super deep dive on how to play Rakdos mid-range, sideboard, and etc. But you know, this all happened after the Pro Tour, so that Javier and Anthony could crush the tournament.
I mean, we can also talk a little bit more. I want to talk about, like, you know, also we drafted and the whole experience of the PT, because you also haven't played draft at all. Yeah, you also didn't play a PT in like a few, like, you know, since the pre-pandemics, right? Like you didn't play Philly on the paper. So I want to, how did it feel to you? Like how was your, you know, how did you feel about it?
So, kind of funny, I sit down to play my draft pod, and in front of me there's Goldukat. This is the Canadian player, Daniel, surname is difficult, Goatshell, and he, I know, I met him a lot online, but never really talked to him in real life, and he goes like, all right, where do I pass, left or right? And I go, left, okay, and then, you know, doesn't know how to sleeve the cards. Like if cards falls down the table, we have to like stop the draft. And it's just so clumsy of a player that, you know, ended up finishing 11th. So amazing performance. But you know, it's just kind of so new to paper Magic. Even Carl told me that he was so shaky. You know, he was so afraid of like making a mistake, misstepping the mana, you know, all the tokens. it was an experience to see like these very, very good players, some of the best players in the world right now, being kind of new to actually the game of Paper Magic.
Yeah, it's quite different as before, because you had like this, the old crew, whatever, they were definitely seasoned paper players, but now there's like, there's like super good players whose technical play is like flawless or whatever, like they're just good, but they also like not very used to play with paper, so it's a strange situation, right? Like it's a you cannot like you cannot craft any kind of relation between skill playing the game or paper ability. It's fun in a way.
Yeah, but yeah, let's talk about the draft a little bit because almost an hour passed and we haven't talked about draft at all. How did you enjoy this draft format?
Honestly, I was very, very worried about it. Like I was my first drafts in the set, I was just losing to Atali every draft. Like I think I faced 5 Atali decks in the first 2 days or something. So that feeling of like draft is all about bombs took me some days to actually, get it out of my system. But I never like won a lot. I did fine. Once again, I tested most in Arena. I think drafting in Arena is so much better than drafting in Magic Online. I understand the level in Magic Online is supposed to be better. I think it probably is better, but I just like the comfort of Arena. I think the games are much faster, and I just like the software more. This is not hashtag sponsored, but after that, I just drafted a lot with my teams, especially like with Carl a lot. And I just got destroyed in the house drafts also, Mango. I just couldn't beat them. They're very good at drafting, so I was not very, very high on my drafting possibilities. But, I also went to a tournament. Like, I'm not going to draft white. I'm going to try to get on the other colors, try to build a green deck or whatever. So I obviously ended up drafting white twice, mostly white with a splash. So that's a classic Magic forcing me into half archetypes I don't want to play. But it went well for me. I went 5-1, which, it passed me like 10 years ago. Going 5-1 in a PTA will take a miracle. But this time I feel like I kind of salvaged the situation a little bit. Like both drafts had like some decisions. It was not like super automatic or anything. So I'm kind of happy with how it went. I made some bad picks, especially draft 1. But it's impossible to draft perfectly, I guess. Also, like, it's so little time, you pick the pack and they say, like, you have 10 seconds, so, oh my god, we don't know what to pick, and you have to pick whatever. So, yeah, it was good. What about you? Like, do you like the format? Do you think it was good? How was it to draft in the PT pack? All these things.
Yeah, so for me, it was great. I really enjoyed this format. The testing process was really good for me. I knew that the Sultai colors were the best. This is what my testing led me to, and again, my concept of like forcing at the PT and everything, but unfortunately, I didn't follow it. I opened Elish Norn, I went white, I hated white. White is so weak, I can never win with it, and I went 0-3.
So we had the same idea, but we executed it differently.
Yeah, like the first draft, black was closed, like very closed. I still splashed a couple of things that I just went like Sultai, like blue green splash black, which was kind of like my favorite deck was like blue black or black green, or a kind of like 3 colors. Like I just wanted to match those colors in some combinations. And again, the first draft went very well, but the second draft, just that Elish Norn, man, I'll think about it forever. Like I should have taken Deadly, like the removal spell, the 4-mana one.
Deadly Duration, pass the Elish Norn, and from keep moving with the
like
life.
Yeah, and I opened Invasion of Amonkhet in pack 2 and 3. It was after just being like kind of mono white in first pack, so I had to keep. It's just it was the worst. Like. Such a like so many regrets because the whole thing like I was 4-4 and then the draft if you do well you can actually do well in the tournament, but if you do bad it's over.
Drafts have like this have such a huge impact, like if you do well in the draft you go 5-1 6-0 whatever. I mean, you can obviously do bad, but even if you go if you go 6-0 and a 5-5 in constructed, that's the top 16. 5-5, sure. Which is like not an impressive performance or anything. It's just a fine day, a medium day. So yeah. Yeah. So overall, definitely something that I want to do again. I mean, of course, it took me a lot of time. Like my work, YouTube, Twitch, and Channel Fireball plus testing took a lot of my
of my time, and definitely don't want to do that every time there's a new set. But doing like 2 or 3 drafts a day, plus like watching my friends draft, it was fun. It was fun, and definitely something that I was missing from the competitive days of Magic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that my I think like my teammates' drafts also were very good for me. Like one of the things I did in the end was, instead of playing them, I just decided to watch them, just to watch different people drafting and watch like like Carl or how Anthony actually build their decks. Anthony won the draft. Anthony draft that won very, very well, to be fair. Like Anthony, remember when Anthony used to be like a constructed player? Not anymore. And I just definitely want to thank you. Like all this team, the team just helped me a lot in this tournament as well. I mean, obviously we all did well because we put 4 in the top 8, which, by the way, I think is impressive. I'm sure you agree, Mengu.
Sure,
yeah, but I thank the guys because they actually helped me a lot. Especially, I mean, Carl, Anthony, Nate, of course. It was like very, very, very good preparation, and I felt like in addition to like have this topic that I'm enjoying the whole process a lot, I also felt like I got better this trip. Like I think you remember that the sensation in the PTs where before the tournament, after the week of testing, you're like, wow, I just learned how to play better this week. That feeling. I don't know if you had it also, but I had it this time, and it was good. Like going to the tournament, going for the tournament. Sure. Yeah.
I tried to approach the testing house doing something that. So how drafting with pros, it's great because not only you read the signal, but they read your signal better, right?
Yep.
So I was trying to do something like, I know I want to draft only these 3 colors, so I'm willing to pass again like Baneslayer Angel or
Norn.
Elish Norn, exactly. I know.
I'm so mean.
Didn't follow it. No, I know. I understand. So I was drafting in the house draft. I was doing like this. I went like blue, black. I only 3 drafting the house draft because the way they were doing it, they scheduled 3 drafts per day, and but one was always like too late that I never wanted to join. And you kind of like, if you joined one of the morning draft, you couldn't join the afternoon draft. They had the system. So I only drafted 3 times, which is probably the lowest in the house. But anyway, I kept doing like blue, black, green, black, kind of, forcing my way through those decks. And they always went well because the power level of those colors were so high that you could afford also, just trying to like, again, explaining my draft system that I think works and I think worked. I just didn't follow it in my second one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Mango way of drafting. I think it's like the medium way where you have like some archetypes, and honestly, it's not how I draft, but it has worked for Mango very well in the past, and it surely is a good thing to do for many players.
So yeah, again, I don't know if I'll be able to qualify for Barcelona. If not, I will not definitely draft too much. Also, I wanted to ask you: is the Lord of the Rings set going to be on Arena?
I have no idea.
Could you draft on Arena, or do you have to draft on Magic Online?
Oh, it's gonna be bad for me if I cannot draft in Arena.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Maybe it will be in Arena. I think it will be strange if they don't release the set for Arena at this point.
Yeah, so you think that it will be just for historic?
Yeah, that would make sense, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a big set, so. Like, it's not like one additional set like the one we're having now, like this like Aftermath set. I think it's a big set, so I don't know it, but I will expect them, I hope they release it in Arena so I can draft it there. Because I'm a big fan of, one fun thing is it's this time, so I have my laptop just to play Arena, presumably, but I just played Arena the whole week on my iPad. We just been on the couch drafting on my iPad. I was like, this is so comfy, I just love it.
Yeah, also, by the way, one reason I picked the Elish Norn, talking about it again, is that I wasn't very high on it, but I guess I should rephrase this to not fault LSV now, but LSV arrived on Wednesday and he hosted the limited meeting. You brought one card of each set, made a pick order for every color combination, talking about every major color combination. Like, he didn't talk about the ones that he said we should avoid, again, like the combinations that didn't involve blue and black, basically. He said to avoid. But he talked about Elishnorn and saying how like it was a very good card for him. You pair it with Surge of Salvation or the protection spell for 2 mana, and most of the time it takes the game over. But, of course, the problem is that it's not that easy to protect sometimes. You cast it as removal, and you just have now a white deck, which isn't very good. So again, this was my thing when I came to the pick, because I had LSV in mind saying that Elishnorn was one of the premium card alongside, I don't know, Sunfall or whatever. But again, what I could give to go back in that pick, honestly. Yeah,
and go black
sure.
and not go 0-3.
Yeah. And go black and not go 0. Yeah, I don't know.
That's the issue. Like that's the thing. Like you go to the PT, you sit down, right, and you open this pack, and you have 40 seconds to make a decision that will probably impact your whole tournament. Yeah, and that's very stressful in a way. Like I mean, you have like 10 seconds to look at the like realistically in 30 seconds you have to decide between 2 cards that will probably find your tournament. That's just wild if you think about it. It's so little time for such a big decision.
The thing is that I opened that Elishnorn. Everybody was like, "Oh, you opened Elishnorn," and I was like, "Oh, I opened Elishnorn," and people will not go white next to me. Ended up 2 other person went white, reasonably next to me. I actually played against them, and they had like Breach or I don't know, just cards that ended my tournament, and I was. Again, today a person on my chat asked me, how did the tournament go? Were you happy with your results? And of course, I cannot be happy with my results because I walked home without a PT invite after having tested for like a month with one of the best teams. So I cannot be happy with the result. Although I have kind of stopped evaluating my life, my experiences based on the results. And overall, it was definitely a great weekend. Again, like hang out with so many friends and players, and just one of those weekends that you kind of want to live, forever. So overall, it was a great weekend. Not happy with my tournament results, but you kind of have to go through and try to the next one so that you could redeem yourself from the past one.
I'm glad. I love to hear you saying this because that's a very good thing, right? That speaks very well of a PT. Like even if you do bad. You're still like, wow, this weekend was great. And that's part of the magic, in a way, I think, of these events. Like, because obviously if you go to a big tournament and you win it or you top it or whatever, you always want to be happy about it. But it takes more to have a tournament even if you like do bad and you don't get your goal or whatever, you're still like, yeah, I didn't get my goal, but this was, quite a very good experience. And I think that's the kind of thing that initially made me want to qualify again and again, and it seems like you also want to qualify back. So it's good to see you. It's good to see you back. In that. It's good to have you back there, Mengu, in that spot.
Yeah, there is the what's it called, the Ragavan tournament, the Secret Rare Showdown, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, you should play that one, not the PTQ." But I'm like, but I don't care about. Kind of brutal to say, but I really don't care about a tournament that awards 2,500 whatever the Ragavan costs. I care about qualifying to the Pro Tour, having the chance to top 8 another Pro Tour and things like that. This is what I care about because I guess Magic is just such a strong game that all we want to do is just compete against the best, not necessarily play for money or money, playing for money.
Exactly. I really I can understand what you're saying. Like, I feel the same. Like in your shoes, because I was in the same situation as you, right? Like, I needed one less match to qualify for Barcelona. I needed 8-8, you needed 9-7. But if I could have missed, right? I could have go 0-3 draft and just miss it. I will definitely not consider playing the Secret Lair for a second. Like, I was just completely 100% locked playing the PTQ, so I could play another PT again. Like, I don't think, for me personally, and apparently for you also, I don't think it's close. Like, I just care more about like these tournaments. Also, the experience of playing the tournaments. Not only the chance to do well or to compete against the event, but also just leave these tournaments. For me, it's definitely like not something that compares to like this 2,500 or whatever in terms of winning. I think having one more shot and, to leave this, and then if you do well, of course, they're wonderful. Like, the amount of emotions I lived through this weekend, it was a very emotional PT for me. It was very intense. I said it in an interview, like in a way, this felt like the first time. It's not the first time I won in a tournament, but it's the first time after pandemic. So paper. It's been a while. Also, I went through all this stage of like I don't feel that I played that well. Even though I keep playing quite a bit, I play a little bit less than before. Even though I play a lot, I just had this feeling like I'm not doing enough anymore. I cannot do it anymore. And it was good to be able to do it, right? It was very special for me. I actually exploded once. I made the top 8. I exploded. Mengu told me he had heard me in the
Yeah, I was playing in my literally last table, and in the whatever, I don't know, 6-9 bracket or whatever I was playing on, and I somehow hear somebody screaming from the back of me, and I'm like, wait, that's weird, or playing Magic. And there was like this big guy jumping and in the red thing, and it was obviously Javier winning his PT top 8 match. So
yeah,
it was very fun too, because I finished basically at the same time, so I was able to come and just talk to you as soon as you finished the match. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was all happiness there. Like it was very intense for me, the whole tournament. I tried to, focus a lot, but also try to enjoy my time with my friends in between rounds. And yeah, I was very stressed playing winning, and once it was over, I was like, wow, like oof, I made it. It really felt like the first time. I'm not being like, I'm really not exaggerating. It was like, you saw me celebrating it. Like it was really a very big moment for me. So, and one that goes straight to my memories as well.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What are your next events? You qualify for Barcelona. What's that? Worlds in September, right?
Yeah, it's also not September, but I want to treat myself on the Mengu style way. I want to go to like tournaments I want, like, enjoy going. I'm gonna try to play events like Four Seasons or whatever. I might go to the Impact tournament. Like, I'm just trying this week to see like how the logistics work. Okay. I just want to go to a tournament and play Magic and have fun with my friends. That's the thing I want to do, and that's the experience I want to enjoy. And it doesn't need to be like huge tournament. I think I'm probably not likely tending toward Athens probably. But I'm willing to go to these events. I'm also probably going to be back to Magic Online mocks, because it's been a while since I haven't hopped to Magic Online. I don't even know what's going on there. But yeah, that's for me. I plan to play some events this summer in Europe, and I'm excited for them actually, because I think that's part of the magic as well.
I've heard there's a Pauper PTQ this weekend.
A Pauper PTQ? Oh, I don't think I'm gonna play it then. I don't know if there's maybe should I maybe I can play it. Shall I play it? Go.
Yeah, I will not. I will not have other things to do, but so if you want to return,
it's a proper showcase though, right? I thought it was showcase. Yeah, I will try to. If it's a showcase, I will try to play it.
I think it's PTQ. No, I think it's just the classic.
No, if it's
top 4
classic PTQ, I don't think I will play it. But if it's a showcase, yes.
Leaderboard points if you win though.
Yeah, but I don't think I am. If I have nothing to do, I will. But there's also the arena PTQ, I think, which is I think more important for me. But it's sealed, so I have to qualify first. I'm just gonna play events. Like I like playing these events, and I enjoy them in the weekends. So I'm definitely gonna try both if I can.
All right, for sure.
What about you? You're playing them or not? Are you gonna play Pauper?
I will not play the Pauper PTQ, but I definitely play Pauper Geddon this summer, alongside with every other event going on in Europe.
I will ask for the information about this Pauper Geddon just to see, just to see how it goes.
Now,
I would like to know the details later.
Okay, so later. I can tell you. The tournament is a 2-day event. It doesn't have a cap, I believe, but it's going to be huge, over 600 people for sure.
Wow.
Starts on Saturday, 8 rounds of Swiss. That's cut at 5-3, Sunday, day 2. And there's like side events, but it's all Pauper focused. It's in Pisa. I'm gonna go there on Friday, and that's gonna be my.
Does it include the classic Mengu reservation at night for a restaurant in a premium place?
I'll definitely talk to people from Pisa where to book on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, that's good to know. Also, there's also the Legacy Showcase this weekend. Do you have any advice for me, or for our friends?
Legacy Showcase. Well. Not sure.
Sure. Okay.
I don't have any suggestions.
We also have we also have some new patrons, by the way. You should be the one naming the names because you're good.
Remind me.
You're the good
Yeah, I
saying the
do write
names.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse and Bran, you guys joined the Discord, and thank you so much for supporting the cast.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't say the names because I'm very bad at it, but at some point I'm gonna have to try. Usually it's them saying the names. They're better at it.
I believe one of these two people actually joined saying they still liked your Pioneer video. So that video keeps on getting us new Patreon. It's just carrying hard the Carney's Patreon.
I am glad they like it. I put some love on it, It's So I'll ask about the legacy. It's like, any fast advice or not really? Sorry.
I mean, I would just keep on playing my 8-cast deck, but again, there's a million deck viable right now.
Like Cephalid, I assume.
Like Cephalid, exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna play that. Just
Nice.
Why not? All right. I mean, that was a lot of PT talk. I think that's fine, right? Like tomorrow, the next week we will probably have Anthony, unless they.
Yeah,
next
week
unless
we're
he
gonna return to the.
He moved to another podcast, but otherwise we have Anthony.
Yeah, we're gonna return to Modern Pioneer Talk, the classic, right?
Yeah, I think so. Probably the last Pioneer time, maybe. Yeah, probably the last Pioneer talk. But after this, next week we will return with a normal schedule. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk about PT and Rakdos, but I think it was, at least for me, it was quite a weekend. To be fair, it's a very special weekend, and definitely, I want to make like. If you have the chance to try to qualify, I would recommend it because it's a very special experience. And, even as the years go by and, this is not my first PT. It's like I've played some PTs, but they're still special. So I think that's, something I want to communicate to you.
Thank you so much, Javier. And again, congratulations on your Proto Top 8. We will return next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Cheers.